Hello, my name is Trevor Appler, and right here is the process for creating the 3D point cloud. And the object of interest that I chose was a guitar. Now right here we are using PyCharm, and what it does is it's going to be collecting the data from all these images that I collected using the LiDAR mockup of, or the LiDAR module. And so I collected, I think, like 34 images, and so the PyCharm is actually going to take all this information that we got from the images, and I'll show you those in a moment, but first I want to get this started. So all these are under the guitar folder, and so we are searching under guitar for all the JPEGs. And so as we collect, we are going to be creating a text file called test results, and that way later on we can use MATLAB to actually collect those points and generate what I believe is a better illustration of the 3D point cloud, or at least it's an easier version to navigate. And so first I'll run this, the data generation file, which is in the GitHub provided by Dr. Mitchell. And as you can see, it starts running, but there are 34 pictures, so it's going to take a little while. So in the meantime, I wanted to show you the actual images that I collected. So first, this is just a picture of the ground, and so it's just a straight red line. And as you continue to navigate from image to image, now you begin seeing the guitar, and you can begin to see a little red line right here, which is and it's at an angle, so there's obviously some angle to the guitar, and then the rest is vertical, which is on the wall. And so if I just keep working that up, you can see right here, I believe that's the cavity of the guitar, and then you just continue to work the way up the arm. And so that's essentially what the images look like, and I think by now PyCharm should be just about done loading, and there it is. And so here's a 3D point cloud, and the reason I like the MATLAB point cloud better is that it's very hard to navigate. And so as I try to turn this image, it just takes a long time, and it's just a very slow process, and it's hard to get the visual that you want. And so moving on from that, I want to minimize these images and pull up MATLAB. I actually ran it right before, but let me do that again. So searching under the guitar folder from PyCharm projects, I have it under homework 5, but it's actually homework 6. And then again, this is the tested results text file, and so this is the test file that was generated in the PyCharm file. So now I'm going to run this real quick. It actually takes a little while too because it's going through all this data, and so it's actually a quite long process. And so in the meantime, I'll show you this image right here. Now, some things to look out for. If you look carefully in this, it's hard to tell, but there's a flash of light for some reason, so you can get a better glimpse of what was going on. Now, not only did I have the guitar right here, but something you couldn't actually see in the image, which is very interesting, but it makes a lot of sense. So this is actually a guitar case, and it's a solid black color, and you actually can't see the reflection of this red line laser on that guitar case. And so because the camera can't pick that up, we know that the 3D point cloud isn't going to be able to pick that up either. And so rather than having any points there at all, it's going to cast a shadow. And then hopefully any moment now that'll be loaded up, and the first is going to be a motion image, and then the following two are other illustrations of what's going on. Now if you're curious as to why this image is so much brighter than one of these, occasionally on the TV monitor it would flash a white screen instead of the actual picture, and so just because it hadn't quite rendered all the way, and which is actually perfect to show the illustration of what actually happened. Okay, so here it is. This is the motion one, and so while we run this, let me show you a couple of the others. Alright, so this right here, we can actually rotate it using this tool. We'll give it a second. But as I mentioned before, there's this shadow which is the guitar case, and it's just because of the solid black color. So that just goes to show how careful you need to be with the object that you are trying to collect information from. So either I would need to change the object, or I would need to change the laser so that it's more powerful, or maybe even a different color. And there's something to consider with changing HSV values as well. But as far as the guitar case goes, that's not part of the problem, because the camera didn't pick up any light from the guitar case. Now this right here, it looks like it's not going to let me rotate it. Um, Maybe that's because this is running. I'm not quite sure. But yeah, you can see right here, this is the guitar. And these are all relatively horizontal lines. It actually came out pretty well. But there's one thing I want to point out when it gets around, and you can actually start to see it now. There's this angle against the wall, and now this is something I'm actually going to have to look into. You can see that it's a pretty linear line right here, and it comes up off here a little bit. And the reason this happened is that the app I had actually didn't hit 90 degrees. Once it got to about 88 degrees, you just kind of had to guess a little bit. And so I'm going to actually have to find a new app for when I generate the images for the actual on-campus objects. But again, here's a guitar and it's pretty linear. So this is a concern of mine, that there is this angle, but it's actually, there's an angle to this against the ground too, and so it actually makes a right angle. So it's interesting why, and I'm curious why it does that, and that's something I'm going to have to look more into. Okay, so I think that's a good representation of the 3D point cloud from this moving image. Just going back to here, I want to see if this will allow me to rotate it a little bit. No, and it won't. This is actually my favorite of the three representations, just because it's generally the easiest to maneuver around, and so you get a better view. But again, you can see the guitar here, and it looks like my computer is just running really slow right now. But it has the X, the Y, and the Z. And so something more to note is that this whole setup was really close to the wall, as well as the LiDAR device was mounted right about here, and so um, it's also relatively close to the setup. And so that's just something to keep in mind, that I think that might contribute a little bit to the angle right here, but I think there's another issue to consider for that. And so I want to look into that and then ask questions about that. Um, But overall, I'm pretty happy with this 3D point cloud. It definitely shows that I'm able to generate an image. It's very clearly that of a guitar right here. And this, it kind of looks like a snowman, but this is a guitar case, and you can see that very clearly as well. Now, thank you for watching my video, and I look forward to creating the next ones.